go ahead and get started. I will pray for us. Father, I pray that you help us today as we review for this quiz. Pray you encourage us in our Greek reading. I pray that you'll be honored. I pray that you use this as a means of grace in our lives to draw us to yourself and to help us love other people well. And we pray all this in Christ's name. Amen. All right. So we're reviewing for 22A. And we want to do the present active participle. And so let's get our handy-dandy random number generator, which I have fallen in love with. Do you like the random number generator?
It makes me...
There's no place to hide, is there? And that's a great thing. All right. So, present active indicative participle. And the winner would be Luke. Can you do the present active? All right. Well, let's. One day we're going to say, let's put everything away and just do everything, from memory, but not today. So let's try Nathan. Nathan, can you do? You've got the right chart. You've got the right section. You're going across the top, right?
No, I didn't
So that's the relative pronoun. All right. Well, let's see. How about number 9, Mateus, present active participle? You're in the right section. All right. 7 would be Sophie. Okay.
I know some of the charts, but I forget which title goes with it. I don't know.
We are learning together. Jake. Okay, I'm starting to feel very bad as a teacher right now. All right, Jonathan, present active participle. Luon. We have a winner. Okay, Luon. Luontas. Luonti. Oh, you feel that line breaking there? It's about to be a rout. Oh, you're getting it. That's it. Right, and can you do the feminines? USA is how it starts. So that's an inconsistent alpha. So you got it. On, ontos, onti, onta, on, ontes, ontone, usi, ontos, ontes, usa, uses, use, usan, usa, usai, usa, uson, usais, usas, usai, on, ontos, onti, on, onta, ontone, usi, onta, onta. So what does this tell you how to do? This chart tell you how to do?
Make it ing.
Make the ing form of the verb. That's exactly right.
Okay.
So
Present is the tense.
Present is the tense.
So it's...
Active is the voice. You're doing the action.
They're doing the action. The speaker.
The speaker's doing the action. And then it's the ing form of the verb.
Okay.
Right? Hey, so we learned something today. That's good. John 1:1-5. First line, Michael. It's not here. Okay. Cody. Oh, sorry. NRK, can you do the next one? Of course you can do the next one. That's exactly right. Okay, 17 is Lauren. That's exactly right. 8 is Laurel. Very good. All right, 6 is Alec.
This chorus, Hagigan no, that's, sorry.
So what we have, NRK in halogos, kai halogos, in prostante on kai theosena.
Plus NRK. Who has NRK plus
All right, and yours is the one after this. Rebecca helps me with this one because she always gets it before I get it when we get to this. That's exactly right. Good. All right, Elizabeth, can you do the next one? Ponta dial tu agenita.
Kai.
That's right. Kai chorus. That's it. You're right. And then two more little words.
Snap.
Kai chorus altu. Agenita. Ha ha. Chloe got it. Yeah. Udahen. And so that little bit of pain that you were looking for, the next time it's going to be wide open. At least that's how my memory works. Kakorsal to Igenita Udahen. And we're at 14, Nick. That's right, Hagaganen. Close, in. Hagaganen, in. That's perfect. Hagaganen in alto. So you made the passageway for next time. All right, 4 is Chris. That is exactly right. Kai hezoe ein tophos ton anthropon. So 15 is Rebecca. Kai. Topho.
Yeah. Kai Tophos in Te Scatia Fine.
All right. And 2 is Samuel. Kai. Kai he Scatia. Alta. Woohoo! Ooh, Catalabin. That's exactly right. One day, I hope I don't ever get Alzheimer's, but if I do, I'll probably walk around in the old folks' home saying, in our case. That guy's speaking in tongues again. All right, first 2 lines of the Lord's Prayer. First line of the Lord's Prayer, 16 is Chloe. It does begin with pater. Pater? Oh, in tois urnois. So we just missed one little word in there. Hemon, pater hemon, in tois urnois. And line 2, Jessica is with her mom today. Lauren, line 2. That's exactly right. Hagi astato ta anima su. Good. Anybody get the third line?
Elevato, Balistato,
We're starting to get it.
Hey, it's hey.
El theto, he basilea su. Come, your kingdom, come, imperative. Good, so this is what we're doing today. This is the aorist, okay, or this isn't the one we're actually doing today, but the aorist active, sa, santos. Okay, the way you remember this chart is remember Jonathan's chart earlier, right? And just replace the front part with saw, right? Once you replace the front part with saw, it goes from the present to the aorist. Then if you can remember saw, when you go to the middle, which we have today, you just add menos to it, and that gives you your aorist middle participle, right? Saw, saw, saw. So is this overwhelming? I don't mean it to be overwhelming.
It's simple on paper, but then when you try to actually memorize it, for some reason something doesn't work.
So we're fixing that now. So if you write saw in every single one of them, okay, and then it's just menos, and then you can just write, matter of fact, I would just write samin os u o on e, oi on ois, samin a ace a, saminon u o, and then it's just your standard adjectival endings, right? If you remember samin, and then your standard adjectival endings.
And the aorist middle participle, what?
Having painted the wall, and the unstated implication is that I was really interested in painting that wall.
Is that because of its
Middle.
Okay.
The having blanked is the aorist part, and then the personal interest, or that's the middle part. And then this is the aorist passive. Face, stentos. Okay. And you think, oh, too much. All it is the plus the normal participial endings. Ontos, onti, onto. Oh, those, it's exactly the same, but you're just putting. So when I remember this chart, I think face is how it starts, and then it just has the normal participial endings, singular and plural. The feminines, instead of usa, uses, use, it's theisa, theses, right? So it isn't like anybody has photographically memorized these charts. It's this chart is the same as that chart, and here's the difference. That's how you do it, right? Does that make sense? We'll go over it enough where it will get there. So let's review. I'll read this. You read it with me. And the Pinthera of Simon, she was laying down, burning with a fever. There's your usa, so that's the feminine. And straightway they say to him about her. They talk to him about her. And having come, so this is the aorist participle of eilthon, pros eilthon. Having come to He raised her. Some people have a mnemonic device for a gyro. They have a man picking up an egg on top of an arrow. And a gyro is you pick it up. I don't know, maybe that works for you. But he raised her, and this is the same word like raising from the dead. He raised her, having seized her hand, so that's your sa, santa, santi. And the puretas left her, and she was deaconing them. She was serving them. Genitive noun, genitive participle, doesn't make sense. Genitive absolute. When evening came about, comma, whenever the helios was setting, they were carrying to him all those holding badly, all those who were sick, and the ones being demonized. And the whole city was gathered together. We get synagogue from this word. Gathered together at the door. And he was therapuoing. We get the word therapy from it. Healing many holding badly, many sick people. Sick with poikilos, various diseases. And he was kicking out many demons. And he was not allowing the demons to speak because they knew him. And early in the morning, while it was still night exceedingly, so very early in the morning, having stood up, he departed, and he went out into a desert place, and there, so your crosses, he was praying. And Simon and those with him pursued him, Eris pursued him. And all right, so now we're studying for the quiz, and Elizabeth, this one's yours.
And having found him.
Right, they found him, and find, I got the wrong thing on here, just ignore that. 7 is Sophie. Right, and notice that it's actually in the present, and they call this a historic present because Mark, as he's telling the story, he's actually reliving it. So it's like he goes into the story and he starts telling it as if it's happening. And they call it a historic present. And Mark does it all the time. Matthias, they were saying to him, are zetaoing you. So I have an advantage in that when I married my wife, she belonged to the Zeta sorority, so I connected this word with seeking my wife, zetao. That was my mnemonic device. So it's the word seek. Hey, it worked 35 years, right? I mean, it's clunky, but it's worked 35 years. And all are seeking you. Everybody is seeking you, zetao. All right, Luke. And he says to them, all right, Nick. Let us go. You're going to make a great guess. Let us go to the NFL game. Let us go to the 747. Let us go. And you're going to make a great guess. Let us go Allah. What is the word Allah Saleh? Other. Let us go, and our guess will be, let's go somewhere else. All right, and so this let us go, do you see how that's a subjunctive? Right? Do you see that ending as your subjunctive? Let us go. So they call it a hortatory subjunctive. Let us go elsewhere. And notice that your subjunctives are simply your indicative endings lengthened. Do you see that? So whenever you have what should be an indicative ending and it's lengthened, it's probably going to be a subjunctive. All right. This is a hard one, Alec.
Into the thing that has other towns.
Right. So you got polis, right? And it's a como polis. Okay. Do you know that the word cemetery comes from the Greek word to sleep? Cemetery is where people's bodies sleep. That's why we call it a cemetery.
Small towns?
What would you think como polis is? I mean, literally, it says something like a sleep town. Let us go to the places that have sleep towns. We have this exact idiom in English. Have you ever heard someone talk about a bedroom community? What is a bedroom community? Have you never heard that? Bedroom community is like if you go to New York and an apartment in New York would cost $2 million. So what do? You don't have $2 million. What do? You take the train to New Jersey, 10, 15 miles, where house is $300,000. Or if you don't have any money, you take it 50 miles where house is $100,000. And so those are called bedroom communities for New York. And they had bedroom communities then. You couldn't afford to live in the city, so you lived in the village out, and they called those sleeping cities, bedroom communities. Let's go to the places that have sleeping cities, bedroom communities. All right. 8 will be Laurel. Perfect. In order, also there I should preach. Perfect. All right. 5 is Nathan. Close 4, so you move that up. I have gone out, and then this literally is into this. Let's go preach in the bedroom communities because that's why I've gone out. I want as many people as possible to hear the truth. Good. All right. Chloe. And ethus is right away, so this is aelthon. But it goes with ethus a lot. And he went out, aelthon, and he went out. All right, and what did he do when he went out? Samuel.
He was preaching in the synagogues too then.
He went out preaching, so that's your participle, into the synagogues of them. So into their synagogues. That's really good. All right.
Is he referring to the sleeping city synagogues?
Cody. Into all of Galilee. Perfect. All right. And what was he doing, Chris?
And made demons come out.
Throwing them out, throwing out the little demons. That's weird because it just said he was going into their synagogue, so it isn't just the first synagogue that has a guy who's demon possessed. There are lots of synagogues who have guys. That's interesting to me. That's really interesting. All right. Rebecca.
I know it's like, and they something to him.
Right, so this is from Erkomai. Can you
So,
remember?
they came to him.
Right, and it's a present, so he's slipping into historic,
They come to him?
right? And I guess it's singular. And there came to him, and then it's going to tell us who it is. This will be Joshua. So there came to him a leper. So are you familiar with the word paraclete? Right, encouraging him. A leper came encouraging him. And then, do you know if you go into a Catholic church, you're supposed to do this thing? Do you know what they call the thing? Right. Do you know the technical term for it? Genuflect. Ganu. This is the word knee. A leper came encouraging him and something related to the word knee. If you were a leper and you were coming to somebody who could heal you, what would you do?
Get on your knees and beg.
Get on your knees. So we're going to make a great guess what this word is. Having fallen on his knees. So it's Ganu Pipto. Leper encouraging him constantly and having fallen on his knees.
Question.
Yes.
That word, doesn't the omega nu imply plural? Isn't that plural gender?
So this is actually a participle just like this one is. So this is your present participle and this is your second aorist participle, and second aorists take present endings. So it's from pipto, and then the epison is the aorist. I don't know why the tau would be in there, but it's falling on his knee. Does somebody have Zerwick? What does Zerwick say? How does Zerwick parse this word? Kneeling down. It is a participle, though, right?
Yeah, it's
Having fallen on his knees, so it's the second aorist.
Or to kneel to. Like,
Yeah, falling on one's knees before kneel to.
Good. All right. And this one would be Nathan. And saying to him, good. And this one will be Alec.
that if you will, you are able to cure me.
Right. And so you see that ace ending is your subjunctive. If you should wish, you are able to make me pure. We get the word Catherine from it, or catheter, something that helps you purify.
is that part of our word for purify?
That's exactly this.
What is the word?
Cathartos, I think. Blessed are the pure in heart, but it's the same exact root. If you should wish, and notice he's not saying you can heal me. He's saying you can make me pure, because at the heart of this disease was an inherent filthiness. I mean, you were basically rotting. It was a living death. And so he says, if you want, you can make me pure. All right. Laurel. It is. It's the aorist passive participle. It's blank nidzo. Having been moved with compassion is how it's usually translated. Can I give you a mnemonic device that will elevate this word a little bit? So it's going to sound gross, but if you were in a battle and someone cut you here, what would come out would be your splanchna. Your inward parts. So your inward parts are your splanchna. So what would this word mean, having been splanchnaed?
Within your inward part.
Have you ever looked at something and it just made you sick with pity inside? That's what this word means.
Just read about a hymn that Isaac Watts wrote called "Blessed is the Man Whose Bowels Move," and it's about that.
That's great.
That's exactly who are. And don't we have the idiom torn up on the inside? I looked at that and I was torn up on the inside. That's exactly what this idiom is. He looked at the man's condition.
What's the second part then of that? The next one where you see yellow inside.
So splanknidzo is the word, and the face is the aorist passive. Jesus has such a pitying heart that when he sees something like that, it just undoes him. That seems more moving to me than had compassion, or even than he was gut-wrenched when he saw this man's condition. He was overcome with his emotional IQ meant that it overcame his entire body when he looked at this guy's. Yes.
Did the Greeks get that word from another language?
I do not know.
Because when you sound it out, it doesn't sound like it doesn't sound like Greek.
I don't know. The splanknidzo is the verb, and splankna is like the technical way you say guts. And so thais, there's your aorist passive part, which is our friend from today, isn't it? Isn't that cool? Jonathan. Having stretched out his hand. Do you know leprosy is contagious? What's the last thing anyone would ever do to this man? Touch him. It had been forever since somebody touched this man. All right, Samuel. Having stretched out his hand, he blanked him. Made it. That's exact. Hopto is the word. So, and this is aorist middle. Ooh, it's aorist middle. Having stretched out his hand, he didn't touch him aorist active. He touched him aorist middle. That's interesting. And then Rebecca. And notice it's a historic present again. And he says to him.
So in that, the two verbs are different tenses.
They are. I don't know. Is he slipping into the present, telling the story maybe? He says to him, fellow. The man said, if you're willing, phales, if you should be willing, you're able. And Jesus says, fellow, I am willing. And then Jesus says, charis theti. Hagios theto. Can you tell this is your aorist passive imperative? Theti, I am willing. Charis. He didn't say cleanse yourself. He gave a command, be cleansed. And this is the same person who said to the darkness, let there be light. And when he says, let there be light, there was light, and God saw the light was good, and God separated the light from the darkness. The same God who said that, the same God who said this is the God who says, in Jesus, you are righteous. And when your entire life is the cosmic microsecond from Jesus saying it and it being the absolute true description of everything about you. And straightway the leprosy left him, and he was made pure. And so you have your aorist passive. And I love this. This is the classical form, ethe, but in time people started spelling it this way, ethe. So can you hear that the difference between that, ethe and ethe? Can you hear the difference? No. Yeah, me either. That's why people started spelling it this way, to give consistency there. I love that. And having rebuked him, sternly warned him.
Okay, so in our Zerwig, I was very confused by the way it described it, because it said, almost there.
It's the same word in John 2 where Jesus rebukes the demon.
It says, When it lists the word, it says
Imprimazo.
properly of horses, snort. So of person snorting with
Having
inward rage or
snorted at him.
Yeah.
But it says like with rage or indignation.
Yeah, that's
I was
what
like, is Jesus snorting at this guy after he healed? I was so confused. Like,
Well, why is he mad? Because having healed the guy, instead of obeying what Jesus did, he completely does the opposite.
but it says it like he snorts before he tells him, right? Or is it like?
Did he know? Did he know that?
I guess so. I don't know. I was just really confused.
Yeah, that's-
I knew what you were gonna ask.
Jesus tells the guy to do one thing. Don't tell, and go offer the gifts so the priest will know. And the guy doesn't do it. In fact, this is the beginning of what's called the messianic secret in Mark. Every single person he heals in Mark, he says, don't tell. Every single one tells, with one exception. The Gadarene demoniac. He's a pagan, and Jesus says, go tell the people in your house. And so the guy goes to 10 cities. So it's like Jesus says, go tell your folks in Ottawa. And so he goes to Louisville, Nashville, Atlanta, Savannah. He tells everybody he can. He's the only guy who obeys. Messianic secret culminates with the two women at the tomb. Two angels say, go tell, and the oldest manuscripts in Mark end with this statement. So the women didn't tell anybody because they were afraid, period. Boom, that's where it ends. And as a reader, you want to say, what? They've got the best news in the world, they're not telling anybody. And then Mark's going to say, well, how are they any different from you? You have the best news in the world. And you're not going to tell anybody. You're going to keep it to yourself. So, but we miss that because later scribes are trying to fix what they think is a mistaken manuscript. So they get stuff from the other endings and they try to fix what Mark did. But it's part of the messianic secret that people never obey what Jesus tells them to do. And the truth is that you and I have been saved from a spiritual leprosy that was more unclean than this man. And that our situation in life was worse than this situation man's, because the rot that we carry in ourselves apart from Jesus could make us lepers for eternity. And Jesus heals us. I'm willing. In fact, he's taking our spiritual leprosy to himself and he's killing it on the cross by being killed. And then Jesus asks us a couple of things. Hey, this is what I want in life. Will you do it? And it's like, I don't know. I don't want to do that. And Jesus is saying, really? Really? I'll just cleanse you from being a spiritual leper forever? So I think that's the background of Imprimazo and why he seems unreasonably angry. He knows that everybody's going to disobey. Straightway, he went out and he said, see to it that you say nothing to nobody, but go show yourself to the priest and offer for your cleansing what Moses commanded. 6 minutes left. What did Moses command? If you're cleansed from leprosy, you go through 2 ceremonies. They're a week apart.
And you have to go and offer a sacrifice, and then I think you wait outside the city for 7 days, and then they check you again to make sure you're.
That's exactly right.
And then this is like, I only know this because I just read a passage a couple days ago.
So here's the ceremony. You take 2 live, clean birds.
They kill one and they dip the other.
you kill one and it bleeds into living water. And it doesn't matter what view you have of baptism, this is going to offend you. Okay? Living bird bleeds into water, and then you dip the other bird in the bloody living water, and you let it go, and it flies free. Now, if you're a Baptist, you're going to say, that's my boy right there. And if you're a Presbyterian, then the second half of that ceremony is you take the bloody water and you sprinkle it on the cleansed person. And so if you're Presbyterian, you say, that's my boy. So it doesn't matter which view you hold, you're offended one way. So you dip the bird in and it flies free, and then you sprinkle the bloody water on the cleansed leper. And then a week later, you take the leper and you put blood on his earlobe, his thumb, and his big toe. Does that seem weird to you?
Yeah.
Particularly since lepers often had rotten parts. So maybe Jesus made these grow back or something, I don't know. But do you know somebody else goes through that exact ceremony? Earlobe, thumb, and big toe? Maybe it's everything I hear, everything I do, everywhere I go, I don't know. The person who goes through that ceremony is the priest when he becomes a priest. Here's a guy who was a leper who looks like he's becoming a priest. Anybody like that in the Bible? Who was like walking around living dead? And then Jesus, a royal priesthood, a holy nation. But the guy who was cleansed didn't think the thing was important, so he didn't do it. And in not doing it, the priest didn't see the first guy ever they had seen cleansed from leprosy. And the guy did it because he didn't think what Jesus said was that important. And that's kind of like us, isn't it? Jesus has these real cool things for us, but we won't do what he says. So, write down on the test what you think you would have made or what you would have made, and that will be our thing for today. And I'll see you on